So, childhood trauma, part 8. In the last video, I mentioned feeling like my mom did not like me. And it kind of transferred into resentment for my siblings. And it's funny because when I did confront her saying that she did like the other two more, she was just like, I made them do the same thing after you left. I was a slave to them after they were born, basically. Well, more to her than them, but it was them I was cleaning up after. It was them I was getting up and making sure that they were ready for school when I had moved into that new state. And it was so frustrating because they only had to clean up after themselves. I had to clean up after everybody. Mind you, I kind of nixed this part out of most of the stories, but my grandmother did live with us after the abuser was moved out of the house. Because we couldn't be left alone for too many times. And when my mom needed to be out of the house more often, she came in and lived with us. And she didn't work, as far as I know, that whole time. But it was, for me, also, it was a nice bonding, and she cooked, because, I was 8, I couldn't cook. And, all of that stuff. So that was, something I didn't have to do. I, at the time, was literally coming up with, I was heating up the ramen for everybody, because I was only allowed to use the microwave. I would make grilled cheese using the toaster by toasting the 2 pieces of bread, putting the cheese in the middle, and then running it in the microwave because I wasn't allowed to touch the stove. I was allowed to wash dishes at 8, but I felt like a relief when she came to stay with us because I didn't feel like I had to do everything, but she had a little bit of mobility issues. And so I was still doing more than, my fair share, technically. And, and she fussed a lot, to the point where my mom would just be like, if I ever get like that, shoot me. And, she got like that. Let's just say that. She got like that. Because the last time I lived with her, that's what she was like. And I was like, I even mentioned that to her. I was like, and, of course, excuses and all that shit. But yeah, it frustrated the fuck out of me. And mind you, there were good times. I don't remember all of the good times because, sometimes the bad shit outweighs the fucking good. And sometimes the only reason why there was good stuff that happened, Christmas and stuff, because it would look really bad if you didn't get one of your kids' Christmas presents. And, mind you, they were Christmas presents that I actually cared, so it made me feel like she really did care because, I like to sing. So I got a karaoke machine. And, when it broke, she took it back. And, got a new one. And then, she bought me CDs. She even bought me a piano at one point that had, a learning thing on it, but that was way too complicated for a 10-year-old. So I only learned how to play a little bit before we ended up moving and I lost the keyboard. We rarely ever lived on our own. And if we did live on our own, usually it was with my Nana, which was her mother, by the way. But I was just still the majority doer. My Nana having mobility issues meant that I had to still do the laundry. She stayed with us until her mother died, my Mima, and then everything fell back to me. So I was only able to actually do after-school activities until my Nana moved out. So that's how I ended up going from, actually being able to participate in stuff, which I rarely did anyway, because most of the meetings for one of the things was it was just once a week, if that, and sometimes it was canceled, so it really wasn't that often. I was in the anime club. And yeah, I was in the anime club and then kind of the recycling club off and on, and I tried to find as many clubs as I could join on a whim. I even did track for a while to avoid going home when I knew that my mom was consistently at home at a certain time. And that's actually when I started going to my friend's house more often, because then my mom was actually at the house and I didn't necessarily have to be. But, I still got like issues for that. But because, I didn't get permission or whatever, but I was close enough to being an adult. Sometimes I actually was an adult. I asked her, even after I turned 18, if I could leave the fucking house until I moved out. Asked her for permission to go hang out with my friends. Technically, more so out of courtesy, but on the real, it was because I had no control. And yeah, all of that led up to a lot of resentment between me and my freaking siblings. And at one point, my youngest brother, I think he got a lot of issues, like a lot of problems, more so when he was a toddler and younger, because he was scary. He was scared of everything. And he's a fucking kid. He's supposed to be scared of everything. Now, mind you, I was hardly ever afraid of anything until that exorcism that freaked me all the way the fuck out, and then I was scared of damn near everything. I used to sneak downstairs after everybody went to bed in the dark. Mind you, I didn't do that, like, that run up the stairs thing. I used to sneak down there without turning on any lights and dance in the dark by myself, or at least I think I was by myself. I don't remember anything else being down there with me, but I used to do that. Because nobody else was awake, and that's what I used to do. And then, after that little exorcism thing freaked me out, I did the run up the stairs thing, and I was terrified. And it took me a long time to stop being afraid of the dark, and when I finally wasn't scared, when I finally wasn't afraid of the dark anymore, I was still, I was afraid of every spiritual thing imaginable. I was afraid of demons. And so, he was just a toddler. He was scared of everything, and he would get made fun of so much. And, I did find it funny at times, but at the same time, I also kind of, tried to stop doing that, because I just felt wrong about it after, I started to become a little bit more conscious of what was going on. And, I tried to treat them better, especially after, what happened to me. And he would constantly get called stupid boy by his father when he was a baby. And that was horrible. Nobody could say anything about that. And he wouldn't remember it, probably. I don't know. I never asked. But then, with my first sister, when I was in high school, I actually ended up telling her that mom was tired of her, which actually wasn't true. It was just mom was tired of me, and I projected that onto her. I did apologize to her for that before I actually moved out of the house the first time. It was because I was just feeling too much pressure and I didn't know what to do. And she was allowed to basically call me a bitch and, take my stuff on a whim, and I was tired of her. So in truth, I just said something that I thought would hurt, and it did. And I did apologize. I didn't get one back, but, that doesn't matter, because she had her own issues that she was dealing with, and yeah, I guess I'll explain that another time.